Hello, entrepreneurs, dreamers, business owners, and happy people with high hopes. Welcome to Cashflows with your host, Cash Matthews.
All right, good afternoon. Good morning, Mr. Kenneth. How has your day been, sir?
It's been pretty good.
Yeah,
just kind of rocking and rolling, having a good time, doing business.
We need to change this to like podcast. We need to be more country.
Podcast.
Hey, man, you doing one of them podcasts?
Yeah, we're getting her done.
Brother. All right. Well, there's never a more perfect time than to do something magnificent than right now. So we're going to get our party started. Hello there. I'm Cash Matthews. Our show today is called Cashflows. And at our store here, we a lot of different topics to make your life better, whether that it is business or personal or how to run your business. Man, we want to give you some good content today. Today, we want to talk a little bit about Bigfoot and all of the implications that Bigfoot carry into the business world. And, I think one of our questions is just real simple is, do you believe? And, I've been thinking about it. I know this is a business show, and we've got a lot of great sponsors we're going to talk about. But today I wanted to just kind of jump right in the middle of it. But before we do, let me just welcome our guest host, our cameraman, our video guy, our guy who puts the files in the computer, Mr. Kenneth Bockham. Kenneth, I got a question for you, bud.
Yes, sir.
What's a guy like you doing in a nice place like this?
Well, I'm actually writing a book titled Awkward Encounters in Unusual Places.
Ooh.
And so we're off to a great start here with the old Sasquatch and Bigfoot conversation. So
I think we're off on a good start. I've just been wanting to have this conversation live with my friends, and I'm with two guys that I trust, plus myself, and thought we might just put it out there for our listeners to help us decide. But anyway, we're glad everybody's here on Cashflows today, and our goal is to help people move forward in business. And we have a concept called Fire, Aim, Ready. And so many people in life, Dom, sorry.
Hey, there it is.
I'm told not to do that, but I just did that. Sorry for those of you listening. But life's about execution. It's about doing things. It's about lining up and taking the shot, whether you make it or miss it. And Cashflows likes to support those people that are out there in the world doing it. Here in a little bit, we're going to introduce our guest, Dominic. But before we introduce him, I don't want to give him bad juju. Let's just talk real quick. Bigfoot, yay or nay?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I got a yes. Okay. Mr. Dominic.
That's a long story, but we'll call it a maybe.
Ooh, we got a yes and a maybe. I don't want to be the tiebreaker. And but I'm going to say certainly Bigfoot might be real. 156 new species of animals discovered in the world last year. Is it possible there's a big hairy mammal living in the woods? I don't know. Maybe we organize a Bigfoot trail or something.
Little search party or something.
Ooh, that would. I don't think Bigfoot is lost.
Look, man, when he's in that woods and he's not believing in himself, someone's got to believe in him.
Someone's got to believe in him because he won't.
Mm-hmm.
And people make fun of him, yet he continues to live in the woods. Okay. Sorry. Okay, let's get on with the serious stuff. All right, we're glad you're here today, and we have a special guest this afternoon, and I am here with Dominic Schultz, a friend of mine through business. Dominic, say hello to everybody.
Well, hi, how you doing?
Man, I'm glad you're here, first off.
Thank you.
And we're gonna talk about business and tips and all that kind of stuff here just in a little bit. But you're a member of the B.O.N.G group, and we want to talk first a little bit about the Business Owners Networking Group here in Tulsa. And you've been a member for a while. Give us just your perception, a little bit about what the B.O.N.G looks like in Tulsa, what it looks like in your world.
What it looks like in Tulsa in my world. One word would be game changer. It's been a big difference for me finding not only just a community of people who are like-minded in business, and that sounds really generic, but at the same time, it's true. I've not met a larger group of more welcoming people who are actually genuine, who aren't just trying to sell you something all the time. And when it comes to networking, I find that it might be a mixed bag. So that's been a big change for me, and the relationships I've built, the friends I've made are stuff I'm going to treasure forever and keep with me for a long time. Because that's ultimately, I think, what it's about more than just making money, making sales. It's about meeting the people, forming relationships. Like you talk about it all the time, how you like to hang out with 5,000, maybe 6,000 of your best friends that you found on the internet. And it's true, though. And we've got a really, really nice core group of people that we all tend to be around and go do cool stuff with that has nothing to do with business, and somehow it's still a good time.
We're doing life with each other, man, and it's beautiful. I had a person bug me the other day, and they said, "Yeah, the bong this and the bong that, but the bong is a click." And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. First off, I guess that's a sound that something makes. But what? Yeah, it's it. What do you say to the idea? I mean, I don't. To me, the bong seems fairly welcoming. Do you feel like it's apportioned off to where there's like 3 leaders in some bunker that make all the decisions?
Last time I checked, you weren't a cult, but
Okay, well, that's I appreciate that.
Is there a regular check? Is there a
mm,
regular check for that? A little like a background check or something?
just a Google search every once in a while,
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
we're not on any Google searches. So, well, Dom, we're glad you're here. You have one of the best nicknames. For those that don't know, Dom rides motorcycles, and Honda Motorcycles makes a little 125 motorcycle called a Grom. And we were out having some steaks one night, and Dom shows up on a Grom, and I came up with the name Dom on a Grom. And that's a great, like, that is one of the, I don't always get it right. You know, like I have failed on so many nicknames. Hey, that's Ethel from Bethel. Like, I didn't get much out of that, but
that was kind of a miss.
yeah, I've more swings than misses. But Dom on a Grom, man, that kind of sticks.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get rid of that now. If anything, I'm going to have to get that embroidered on a jacket and
Ooh,
be
well,
doing a
There we
wheelie.
go.
you
Some
doing a
flings.
wheelie on your Grom? I think that's a thing. Yeah, and we'll get
Cha-ching.
Lucy Dawson to make us up some jackets, and I guess we're getting a motorcycle club now. I don't know. Gina Maxwell's nickname is pretty good, G Max.
hmm
Like, but we'll have a
That
boy.
could be a biker name.
Yeah, G Max.
We just got together the other day. She's cool.
Oh man, she is all kinds of cool. She's actually developing the Tulsa B.O.N.G website.
Sweet.
So we're, in fact, this podcast that you're on will be located www. Whatever many W's are in there now. Tulsa.
Several.
Is there several?
I
A
think that
handful.
was 8.
There's a handful for a Sasquatch. I think they only have 3 fingers.
What, like when it's
That's
doing
what I've been
text to
told.
voice, like what does www sound like when you read it? Whoa, whoa, whoa.
What?
I don't know.
Bro, there's part of that there World Wide Web.
The World Wide
Yeah, it
Web.
is.
Anyway, you're going to be on there, tulsabong.com, coming up live from Gina Maxwell, and who's a friend of pretty much everybody in the room. So
Yeah, pretty close.
cool group of people. But we want to get to know you, Dom, today. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
And you've had a lot of, you're a young guy. How old are you?
25
25, single,
currently.
currently single. I mean, I think you're very attractive. What do you, Kenneth?
As of
flattered.
this recording date.
As of this recording date, you're very, very good looking.
Well,
And
until I lay the Grom down and then lose my face, but that might be
Yeah,
different,
Yeah, wear a helmet.
yeah.
usually.
Okay, so we're going to dig in and talk about business because you've been, in fact, you're one of the teammates that have brought the MFP program to life.
hmm
You built the website joinmfp.com to help our little company out that's promoting a product, and your job there was magnificent.
Thank you.
So, real quick, just give people a general overview of what you do business wise, and we're going to get to know who you are as a human.
Mhm.
Let's talk a little bit about business just to start with.
Sure. So general overview would be, well, my company's name is Digon Design. I help local businesses get found online, and that's kind of catchy in itself. But the main things we tend to focus on are website design, SEO, so getting people found on Google when they type in the words they want to show up for in a really, really basic sense. And we do ads and drone photography and videography and surveying and a lot of other fun stuff too, because I need an excuse to go buy something that flies, because as a kid, I got really, really obsessed with anything with wings thanks to my dad. So I was looking for an excuse. But yeah, that's kind of a general overview of what I do.
So, how do you end up there? Is that something you studied in college? Is it a high school thing? Were you just that kid that knew how to fix and or break everything?
I was that kid. I took all my toys apart as a kid. I wasn't very good at putting them back together, though.
Right.
So I would get something new, and it would be great for about a couple of weeks. And then I would get bored one day. And I would go dig in my dad's toolbox, and I would find a screwdriver. And it always was just a little Phillips screwdriver. I probably used the same one to take all of my toys apart. I'm stripping out the screws on the small ones. But I got that sucker apart, and I figured out how it worked. Putting it back together,
Whole other thing.
nah. We got unfinished projects there.
So, tell us about Digon Designs. You've had this for how long?
I started in September of 2020.
So, another person that started a business
Ooh.
during the pandemic.
There's
hmm
a theme.
Okay, so talk a little bit about that time during the pandemic. We're all wearing lovely masks, and except for the 3 of us in the room. Tell us about the time during the pandemic. What led you to start your company at that point?
Sure. So I was working as a electronics process engineer. So it was my job. I worked for this company, and we would get those bare green printed circuit boards, and it was my job to make sure all the tiny little components ended up on those circuit boards. And I would set up the assembly line, manufacture them, bake them, and they'd come out and they'd look pretty good and they'd hopefully work. That was my goal there, and I got that job coincidentally through networking, but that's a different story.
Different story. Okay, well, that's cool.
And during that time, it got to the point where I worked for a family-owned company. It's probably 20 people total. And August of 2020 rolls around. And about that time, we couldn't get our little electronic components to put on the circuit boards anymore. And that company owner, his name was Steve, and he was a great guy. COVID got him like 6 months after that. But he would bring us in, and he was paying us to sit there and do nothing for about a month straight, just to make sure that we would have somewhere to go when we needed to come back. And we could keep a roof over our heads, and we would be able to come back to him and not have to go find another job. And that was phenomenal. I owe him a lot for that. But
Yeah.
in that time, I was starting to get to the point where I had a long commute. I was starting to get a little bit burnt out because I could only watch so many YouTube videos and get paid in an 8-hour period. So I had started to come back onto some of the stuff that I had done originally. And I've always been kind of an entrepreneur since I was a little kid. I was always scheming on ways to make money and how to buy the new shiny thing that caught my attention because I'm really ADHD. But yep, now I did it this
There
time.
we go. All right.
All
You're
right.
next, Kenneth.
We're 2 for 2. But yeah, it was about that time that I said, okay, maybe I should start falling back on some of this marketing stuff I figured out. So the first business I started, it was 17, at least legit business, was car detailing company. So I'd go to people's houses and I was clean their car in their driveway. And I know a lot of cool people in the B.O.N.G can do that too. And I'm partnered up with some of them now. And I send them leads from that company because I still have it to this day. But that was how I learned to market. I had to figure out how to do that for myself because the first job I got on Craigslist was a mess and I didn't want to go do that again. So I need to figure out where to get some better ones. And that kind of led me down that rabbit hole of learning how to make a website and do ads and everything like that. So I had that skill set a little bit at that point. So come August, I'm starting to get burnt out. I'm like, well, what's stopping me from doing this marketing thing for other people? So let me go figure it out. I joined a course. I had an accountability group and a whole bunch of other people and started with 10 different guys who were going to do the same agency. And of that, today, there's 2 of us left. And
Wow.
one is, he's looking a little like he might drop out. So I'm hoping he doesn't because I really like him and I've been helping him out a lot. But yeah, that's kind of how I got here and a little bit of the backstory on how I ended up there.
Well, I know the work that you've done for us, and I don't know how many of your people are like me. I just never took the time to learn it. I can turn on a computer and I can get on Facebook with Kenneth, and I can do pretty well in those venues. But beyond that, there's literally talk about website development because you did our website for joinmfp.com.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how tough is that? To me, it looks like magic.
To the untrained eye, it's like magic. You know, it's magical pixie dust I sprinkle on the computer and then a website comes out and it's terrific. Highly recommend. The pixie dust is kind of expensive when you can find it. There's all these fairies you have to go meet. No, but seriously, it's as a process of learning it, I had to tear a lot of my hair out just to get to that point. Now, not so much. I've run into a lot of the same things because I've been using the same system to develop in from the start. So I build on WordPress and I use all kinds of other plugins that stack on top. But I've been using that for, probably 7 or 8 years at this point. So I figured out a lot of the bugs and what to look for when someone has a problem, and I can help people with those problems a lot of the time. So now for me, that process of development looks a lot more like how to tell somebody's story and convey that to people who don't know them through the internet. And what that comes down to is making sure I get the right information from them. They can tell me their story. And if not, then I've got to kind of talk to them and we pull that story out because eventually it's not going to be something I want to put out into the world if both the client and I aren't satisfied with it. And a lot of the time I'm kind of a perfectionist. So I tend to go for more and more and more when it's ready to go. But when it comes down to it, that's a lot of what that process looks like. As for the development visually, there's a couple of different ways we tend to do it. I've got some people where they'll provide examples and show me what they do and don't like. Other ones are just like, surprise me. I don't know what I want. So it's a lot of just communication and making sure that back and forth, there is a clear channel of communication, and being able to, manage expectations and set all that up has been, I think, one of the biggest things I've learned in that process. Because otherwise, for me, just visually developing, that's the easy part. The hard part is all of the other surrounding pieces and getting all of that arranged.
So one of my questions was, you built a website. Do people still need websites, or are they doing everything on Facebook? Who? I mean, we have a lot of business owners in the Bond group, 5,500 of them.
Hmm.
Do they all 5,500 need a web page?
No, I wouldn't say they all do. A lot of the time, when it comes down to it, it's the kind of business you run. So I would ask anyone who wants to start one first is, what's your goal? What is the outcome you want? If somebody comes here and they land on your website, what outcome do we want for that? Do we want them to take a certain action? Do we want them to contact you, call you, submit some kind of lead form, learn about you, download a thing? There's a lot of different things that you can have a website do. And it's really good at telling your story because it never gets sick. It never takes holidays off. Sometimes it goes down if you don't pay the bill. But other than that, it's the best employee you can have working for you. So in that regard, it's amazing. If you can have one, I would make one. But not everyone needs one. A lot of the time you can hustle. You can get through the journey of entrepreneurship without a website. But it is kind of a hub for all of your other marketing efforts because you can collect your story there and you can tell people about who you are and what you do in a format that you can just send to somebody.
So somebody can come to you, build a website, tell you what they're looking for, what it looks like, and that's really their goal. Tell their story, get their product out in the world, increase name recognition, and then you make them more findable through the SEO process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you don't have to explain that because I won't get it anyway. But I think that's great, and I know a little bit about it, but all I can do is make it more boring than it probably is. So talk about your personal inspiration. You've had a lot of different things happen in your life. And so what inspired you to actually start a business? I know you had the business from the guy that you mentioned, but were you always going to be an entrepreneur?
No, not at the start. So I don't know. It's a long story of what really drove me to be more entrepreneurial and really dive into that side of myself. Long story short, I owe it to a breakup from a long, long time ago and purely trying to self-improve out of spite. And then I figured out that it was actually really nice to help people and be able to add some form of value to life instead of just being angry all the time. But
Self-improvement out of spite. We need to write that one down.
but there's a lot more that goes into it than that. Now, what drives me more than anything is just being able to give back. Originally, I'm from here, but I lived up north when I was working for that company when I started my business. And just through that whole process, the big thing I wanted to do more than anything at that point in 2020 was be closer to my family. Because right then I was about 10 hours away from them.
Oh, wow.
And I was worried about my parents because their health wasn't that great. They're a lot better now. But I wanted to come back and be here for them. I wanted to be a bigger influence in my little brother's life because we're 9 years apart. And now he's a junior in high school. But when I came back here, he was just a freshman. And he was still online and doing all of his classes and, well, not doing any of his classes. But I wanted to be a bigger influence there more than anything. And that was a bigger piece of what inspired me to come back here and build in Tulsa and just be closer to everything else. And I'm glad I'm here because I've met a lot of other wonderful people.
Well, that tells us a lot about your value system that, family is important. I know along the way that you've had challenges. I think we'll have a whole bunch of business owners sit in that chair over the next few months. And I think, Ken, I think you probably agree. We've all had some kind of challenges to get to the next level. Tell us about a challenge or two that you've overcome. What has slowed you down at times and how did you get through it?
Sure. So some of the biggest things that have slowed me down have been confidence and kind of a lot of mental limiting factors, I think. So when it came down to it, it's maddening when you start a business. One of the biggest challenges I had in the beginning was just acquiring new clients. I didn't know where to meet people. And probably I came back here in January of 2021 and I didn't get a recurring client in my business until December of 2021. So if that says anything, it took me a long time to actually make any money in business. And one of the biggest challenges there was just figuring out how to live. Because when I came back here, my parents wanted to help me out, but I could not live at home. I would go crazy and tear out all my hair. And I had an apartment about down the street from them, maybe 10 minutes away. I needed to figure out how to pay rent, how to eat, and I didn't want to work a job for somebody else because I was over that whole thing. Because I was trying to really cut it with this whole business thing.
Yeah.
And getting down to it, I had to become my own best client. So I mentioned I had that detailing company. I still had all the supplies from it. So what I ended up doing was coming back and actually dialing in all of my own marketing. And I know the stuff I do works, at least it did back then, because I did it for myself. And I wouldn't be sitting here right now because I wouldn't have had enough money to pay rent and eat. And I probably would have gone and got a job for somebody else. And that was my biggest concern in the beginning, because I knew that entrepreneurial fire probably wouldn't die, but it would get slowed down a lot if I went and I got a job again, just because it's very easy to fall into that routine, that pattern, and suddenly you're working 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and you come home, you're burnt out. You don't want to work on anything else. That's hard.
So you've worked a lot on your business, but I know you've worked a lot on yourself. You mentioned there a couple times personal growth. Well, what did you say? Personal growth through pain, or what did you say? Self improvement through
Self-improvement out of spite.
out of spite, right? Okay, so that's we can reword that a little bit. Just call it personal growth and self improvement.
Yeah.
How has your personal growth concept mirrored with your business? Because it seems to me like you work on one, you get the other.
Mm-hmm. And I mentioned earlier, part of that limiting factor was confidence and mindset. A lot of the time, especially in the beginning when things weren't going my way, it was very easy to just get down on myself and think that, oh well, I'm just a failure. I'm going to burn out. When I was younger, I had a constant fear of failure. I was brought up by two perfectionists, and everything was just not quite good enough ever. So
Okay.
overcoming that was pretty interesting. But
Mm.
I think a lot of challenges I've had in business specifically, and that a lot of other people struggle from, is just how they look at it and their overall frame on life. I was looking at it through for a while, negative lens, and I wasn't enjoying the fact that I was here, I'm alive, I'm in decent health, and I'm having a good time because I was so fixated on, I need to be successful. I need to make my parents proud. I need to show the world what I'm capable of. And there was just a whole lot of, and granted, that's part of growing up in your early 20s, I think. But
Yeah, for sure.
there were a lot of things that forced me to grow up a lot faster that I had to get through in order to really be more successful in business and get to a better place.
Is there one thing that you learned in self development? I mean, I kind of have my one, Kenneth, and I think a lot of people that are climbing sort of have that one thing that gets them over. That mine was just to trust myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. Trust yourself. You belong here. What about you? Did you have one that really stood out?
The one that stands out to me the most is abundance mindset versus scarcity mindset.
Ooh, okay. Give us a sentence on that.
Sure. So a scarcity mindset is somebody who thinks there's never enough of anything to go around. So in business, a lot of the time, it's those people that don't want to make friends with their quote unquote competitors because they're going to take all the work and there's not enough to go around and I need to
Right.
win all the jobs for me. Versus abundance mindset, which is being able to look at your quote unquote, again, competitors. Like I sat down with Gina Maxwell. She and I do a lot of the same stuff, but there's enough overlap there that there's enough work for all of us to eat. I mean,
True.
if you want to quote statistics, there's probably one web developer for every 10 websites in the world. So
Wow.
there's plenty more than enough to go around. And, reputation, everything else has a factor to play there too. But that abundance versus scarcity mindset was a real big game changer for me because it's when I stopped freaking out over losing in business or in life and realizing that there was enough and I just had to figure out where it was.
That's beautiful, man. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk about how you've evolved as an entrepreneur. Because when you first get going, there's a lot not happening that's supposed to happen. There's a lot happening that's not supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about your growth as an entrepreneur. How did you, and also did you read books? Did you watch videos? Did you go to seminars? What did you do to develop your strength as an entrepreneur?
So my evolution as an entrepreneur, a lot of it, again, came from mindset and self-improvement, but also from people. It doesn't take just one person to build up somebody else. I was part of that group of other guys that started an agency at the same time as me. We all started and got together in October of 2020 and, slowly one and two drop out, things like that. But going strong in that core group and having other people to hold me accountable, especially in the beginning, that was the first big evolution. After that, networking was a game changer. I didn't start networking in Tulsa probably until summer, maybe September, October of 2021. And
Okay.
I didn't get into the B.O.N.G until September of 22, if that says anything. But that was one of the other big game changers because then I started to meet people. And again, it starts to build that momentum. It starts to put energy into that flywheel. And then it's a lot harder to slow down because you're already spinning. You've already got things going for you. And then that tends to start bringing more and more good things. And just to kind of back up for a second, that's what my company name is. I call it Digon Design because I'm a math nerd, and Digon is the math term for a circle. And originally, circle design just didn't sound that good. But I started to think about it more and more, and that kind of embodies the philosophy in business I have, which is what goes around comes around. If I'm putting good stuff out into the world, if I'm helping people, if I'm being valuable, if I'm giving out information and just being a good guy, I think it's going to come back to me.
All right, payday.
Thanks.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's take that sound And let's roll into say thank you to our sponsors and have a word from those people that sponsor this wonderful show, Cashflows. Take it away, Kenneth.
All right, we've got a lot of great sponsors here on the Cashflows podcast, and the one we're going to talk about today is the one whose voice you're able to hear at this moment. My name is Kenneth Bauckham. I'm a photographer and videographer. I'm here to help bring your awesome ideas to life, and I specialize in helping businesses explode their online presence through professional photography with a rapid turnaround. It's commercial photography with a personal touch. Again, I do photography, photo, video, and podcast management. Have you heard any great podcasts lately, Cash?
Yeah, I've heard of one. I called it a podcast. It's that Cashflows character.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the guy's kind of I won't say what he is, but yeah, anyway. And we're glad you're here. I'll just leave it with that.
Oh, thanks.
All right, we're here with our guest today, Dominic Schultz. Dom on a Grom, we call him. His company is Digon Design. And we're talking about life, and we're talking about growing a business and overcoming. And man, Dom is somebody who's done all of those things by the tender age of 25. Where a lot of us are sitting around watching Kenneth, going, "Okay, this is Dom is the real deal." And he's great at what he does, but
You give me too much credit.
You're great at how you do it, and it's joyful to work with you. And so let's talk about. And I think this is kind of a buzzword topic, but balance in life. You know, in my world, I mean, it's so easy to get out of balance when you're working at something you're good at and enjoy, and you feel like you're serving people, and all of a sudden, you know, you're who's who in business, but you're who's he at home. Talk to us about how you manage to maintain some sort of balance between Dom, the guy who works, and Dom, the guy that rides motorcycles and flies. What are they called? Drones, right? Yeah, I'm sorry to drone on and on about this, but
It's a struggle, and I'll be the first to admit that staying consistent is very hard. Even no matter what I seem to do, it always seems to be a cycle of habits that can either be really good or really bad, depending on how much I nurture them. But my goals and what I've been doing really well on lately has been having a better structure for my day, because I'm really ADHD. So if I can sit down at a certain point and tell myself, okay, this is what I need to do and when I need to do it, having a calendar on my phone has been a game changer, let me tell you, because it tells me where and when I need to be there somewhere and what I'm supposed to be doing. Otherwise, I don't show up and I forget. After that, it's kind of the same principle almost, but I've been experimenting with using that same calendar to give myself personal things to do. So whether it's go to the gym or whether I need to take some time out for myself to eat lunch, I've been scheduling that in. And just putting that little bit of structure together has been really, really helpful. I've been playing with a couple of other apps that are AI that would manage my calendar for me. And what I do with those is I plug in all the things I need to get done, and it chunks them up into time blocks and some other stuff. But that's still kind of experimental for me right now. But those have been kind of the bigger game changers, and then making sure I just have time to go have fun.
You have any hobbies that you like to go have? I mean, I know you have a race car and a motorcycle. Oop, I'm 2-1, killing you.
Oh, man.
What do you do to have fun?
I like to go to the track a lot. So I've got a race car. When it's not broken, I take it to Hallett down there in Sand Springs, and that's a great time. When it is broken, then I like to ride my motorcycle, or I've got a drone that you could call a racing drone, I guess. But imagine sitting on top of it, and you got a pair of goggles you put on. It's like VR, and you're scooting along at 100 feet or 10 feet, depending on how brave you are, at like 70, 80 miles an hour right on the deck. That's fun. It makes some cool noise. It sounds a lot like that, actually.
Isn't that the Doppler effect? You hear it before you see it?
Yeah. Well, the Doppler effect is the lowering of the pitch as the object passes you.
Oh, yeah, lowering the pitch. Yeah, that's okay. That's what I was going to say.
That's the Doppler effect, yeah.
If my car could sound like that right now, that would be terrific.
Right.
So you're 25 years old. Let's talk about 35.
35.
What's 35 look? And here's a more important question.
Scary number.
What would 35-year-old Dom say to 25-year-old Dom that you think you need to hear right now?
That I need to hear right now?
Yeah.
Start doing the really hard things that you've been avoiding.
Oh, okay.
So
give us one example of a really hard thing.
Well, one of the biggest things I need to do to scale my business forward right now is hiring, systems, and all of the other boring stuff that's not nearly as fun. But specifically, I've got an offer put together for a specific kind of company, and I need to go and create marketing around that offer in order to branch out beyond local. And that's the biggest problem I have on my plate that I need to solve right now, but it's also the hardest to get started on because it's so large that chunking it up, it still doesn't feel that doable. So it's very easy to avoid.
Got it.
And it's also got a lot of work that needs to go in on the front end to make it happen. But
So what does 10 years from now look like for you, Dom?
10 years from now?
You're 35.
I mean,
probably, went up a pant size maybe.
Hopefully down a pant size, if anything. But no, if I'm 35, the way that looks to me is more time, more autonomy. That's one of the bigger core values in my life is being able to, the reason I started a business is being able to do what I want when I want and being able to have more of that freedom would be nice. After that, I'd like to be engaged. That'd be pretty cool. Have a house, maybe another race car. That'd be fun.
35, you're engaged, not married?
Well, it depends.
Meet the right person, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Okay, very cool.
But other than that, those are kind of the big milestones for me. Other than that, I'd really like to travel, and I've been doing more and more of that recently. But
yeah, I've been watching that. That's cool.
Having been more well-traveled is another goal of mine by then.
Very cool. All right, so let's talk about some more life lessons, and then we're going to wrap up with a golden nugget from Dom on a Grom.
All right.
So is there a core philosophy that covers both your business and your personal life?
What goes around comes around.
Ooh, okay. Man, I was hoping you wouldn't say that one. I've got some unatoned for things out there.
Yeah, we all do. It just depends. But no, I think that's the bigger philosophy. And again, it's just putting good out and being able to get good back has been a really, really awesome thing I've been able to do. And I just keep wanting to do more of. 'Cause at the end of the day, I just like helping people. Like the whole business, the making money, that's nice. But being able to just help people and see their eyes light up when they realize that their business is doing better.
Right.
They have more money to go do things with their family or whatever it is their goals are. That's what gets me excited because that's what I do for people. And I'm able to help them reach that next level that they might not have been able to do on their own. And that just accelerates them forward that much more.
Okay. Our listeners are waiting. We want a golden nugget from Dom. One thing that somebody can use to make their life better, make their business better. Is there something that you would say if you're sitting here talking to one of those people?
I'll give you two. So just be real and never stop learning. So by being real, just be authentic, be yourself. You don't have to put up a front. You don't have to pretend to be anyone you're not. And I hope to embody that because at the end of the day, like there's a lot of different people in my industry that do what I do. And I'm not trying to be the realest one, but I like being able to be me and just, I don't know, I show up here and I'm Dom on a Grom and talk about race cars and, we talk about websites and other stuff too, but that's really nice for me. And I don't have to put up some front and be like really, really corporate in that fact of I need to be very careful with the words I choose because if I don't, then I could get into some serious legal trouble.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
That's tough. I think you and I first met at an indoor motocross race last year. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, we did.
And I mean, that was like, I met you. I'm like, wait, this guy's a web guy. Andy likes motorcycles. Okay. He's unusual, but that was certainly a good night. Well, we are going to wrap it up here, Mr. Kenneth. It is time to bring this show to an end. Dom, we want to thank you for being part of this.
Thank you.
And we want to make sure that we share you with the world. And we're glad everybody stopped by to spend the day with us. I want to thank our friends here at Elevate. Kenneth, to you, certainly all the hard work you do to bring this show to life, man. You are amazing. To Clarence, my good friend, who we just have an enduring friendship, and he's meant so much to us here at the B.O.N.G group where this all originated from. And just in my life, Clarence just keeps showing up. So until our next show, you all make good choices. Love one another. Be nice to each other. Let's make today the absolute best day ever. And I want to say goodnight to our 4 listeners from my hometown of Shawnee, Oklahoma. And I'm going to see y'all at the garage sale this weekend. And also to the 3 of you that continue to like our posts on Facebook. I wanted you to know, hey, I'm running down to Quick Trip. Y'all need anything?
That's our show for today. Stay tuned for another riveting edition of Cashflows.